and you have to use anything you can to make your arguments persuasive. In business terms, I think what you would do is present charts, is present the market, is present the demand for your product. I did something very, very technical. I decided to use the race card. So I went to the UK Film Council, who had got me various times to come up on platforms to talk about being an Asian woman, working in the media, what was that like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm sure some of you have been in those situations where you're sitting and people are talking about how hard it is to get in the business, and etc. And I had done loads of those. And I was in a position where I knew the new Film Council was looking at my project, but someone had written a report on the script and was recommending that the committee reject the finance for it. And I had managed to get hold of this report, and I don't know how now, but anyway, I'd managed to get hold of it. And the reason that had been given was because the author of the report had said that that it's impossible, that there isn't an Indian girl in Britain who could ever bend a ball like David Beckham. And we would never find someone who could do that. So they just thought the film was very pie in the sky and were recommending for it to be rejected. And I had nothing to lose at that point and said, no, this is wrong. I've got to fight for my vision. And I went into the offices at the UK Film Council and said that you have to back me. This is the time now. You have to back me as a filmmaker. You cannot bring me out on panels and make me talk about what it's like to be a woman in the industry, a black person in the industry, a person of colour in the industry, whatever you want to call it. You cannot have me come out and do that and not back me, because other people look to me because they see me as being successful because I've managed to make one successful movie, and you're killing it. And John, I was a bit more angry than I'm sounding now, and he was very cross. But anyway, the upshot of it was that he agreed. He absolutely agreed. Said, you're right. We have to back the filmmakers. And so I got the backing. Everyone else then came in, and I made Bend It Like Beckham. And actually, that man, John Woodward, actually, the head of the film council, takes full credit for the movie now. And so he should. But very quickly, because I know I've got to move on, then that film came out, and it was a huge success, as you know. And it was a huge success in America, and it's made something like $200 million in the States. But the accounts in the States still show us to be in the red. Fox, 20th Century Fox accounting. In the UK, our distributor here as well, we'd made about £12 million in the box office. Then not to mention triple, quadruple that with DVD sales. But we weren't getting our money. We had to sort of have a legal battle to get some of those profits back. But compared to what people think I made on that money, I made very, very little. So my whole focus since then to now has been how can we participate in that? And that's where the business side has come out, because I didn't know I was going to be a director. I became a director. I didn't know I was going to be a writer, but I was compelled to write because I wasn't seeing the scripts that I thought worked. And I never ever meant to be a producer, but here I am now writing, producing and directing this new film, of which I own so far quite a large share because I've put it together independently through pre-sales to distributors and one Indian equity partner from India who wants to expand into the international arena. And what I did do then was employ a business model, because I realised there is a demand for what I do after Beckham, and that demand is from women, because the films do have, they are from a women's perspective, but also much, in an international world, what I do is make films that are about the diaspora and about people living in cities that are extremely mixed and are extremely diverse. And there are more people living in those kind of cities all over the world that relate to films like Bend It Like Beckham than perhaps some of the other stuff that is being made, which is sort of just Hollywood-type stuff, you know, or costume drama. So what I have ended up doing is isolating a whole new area and a new genre and employed a business model now. And I have a slate of 4 films that follow that model, which are all about the immigrant perspective or the diaspora perspective, which I hope now appeal to that audience of mine, which is global, which is international, which is quite female-driven, but at the same time, you know, very much family-driven, and men go to see movies with their female dates as well. And I think that one thing I just wanted to end with on a female note was I remember when it's my favourite story about Bend It Like Beckham was that when that movie came out, and we had no idea it was going to be the success it was, and I had gone to a screening in Manchester, and it was the closest cinema to Oldham, and there had been the Oldham riots just previously to that. And I'd gone up to the cinema, and when in the cab to the cinema, they told me that the cinema was really packed, and that I needed to, you know, they were going to open the second cinema up for me as well. So when I got there was 2 huge cinemas absolutely packed with people, and I was like, Manchester, oh, the Asian community's come out in force, that's fantastic. And when I got up there were hardly any Asians in the audience. It was largely white English crowd, and I was like amazed. And of course, obviously, the Beckham name and all that sort of worked with there because it was Manchester. But you know, the audience, I introduced the film, they watched the film, it's fantastic and a great response. And then afterwards, I was standing there as people were leaving, and this young woman came up to me, and she'd been crying actually, and I was sort of smiling at her. And she said, you think your film's a comedy, don't you? And I said, well, it is very funny in places. And she said, it is funny. She says, but you don't know what you've done. And I said, what do you mean? And she says, what you taught us was that everyone wants the best for their kids. And that's a big lesson for all of us who live around here. Everyone wants the best for their kids, and they're going to fight for it. And that moment sort of sent shivers down my spine, because finally I had achieved what I meant to achieve all those years ago in that one moment with that lovely mother from Oldham. Thank you.